Rabbi Yehuda the Nasi was the grandson of the famous Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. He was an Amora. Shola Shulman Nachman, Yasser Shulman Nachman. Ma'odin Yosef that which it says, Solu l'rochei ba'aravos. Give praise to he who rides in Aravos. That's one of the heavens. B'yoshimo, in literally in God is his name. Vilzufan, rejoice before him. So Amar Lei, so Rabbi Shulman Nachman said, Ein l'cha kamakom amakom. There is no place. She'enu memuna b'yoshelo. There's no place. There is not somebody appointed on the biyah of that place. Now, the biyah of that place, one could learn the story about the name of Hashem, but that doesn't fit in very well because how are you going to say that there are people in charge of the name Hashem? It's a difficult concept. It sounds idolatrous. So therefore, the Mefarshim here, the commentators change it. One says that it means, the Gemara is in there. I didn't bring the Gemara yet. One says that it means that there's everybody in every place. There's somebody who's in charge of a bay, and a bay means a house. There's another interpretation which the Leiden manuscript brings down, which is that it's biyah. This is somebody in charge of malach, in charge of every relationship, every cohabitation. That somebody will to bring about a child from that relationship. There's yet another interpretation which is brought down here, which seems to be correct in context, which is that it's really to be read baya. It's the way the Ramban on the Torah brings it down. The baya means anguished cry, and in every place there's a malach who's in charge of answering the anguished cries of people who call out unto heaven. And who's in charge of who's the master over this complicated system and in charge of everything ultimately? Of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem himself. B'yoshimo, and vis-a-vis Hashem, we learn the pasuk B'yoshimo, in God his name, Ki Shemo, because his name is God. So meaning Hashem is ultimately in charge of everything, even though there are sub-commanders and sub-chiefs, nonetheless the chief of all chiefs in terms of responding to prayers is HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. It's a difficult Gemara because this Gemara obviously seems to imply that there are underlings below Hashem who have capacity to respond, or delegated responsibility to answer cries and anguish and deal with stuff. Whereas we generally understand in Judaism that God does all that kind of stuff himself. But I can't change what it says. That's what it seems to say here. Amalei. So that's Rabbi Yehuda Nasi's response received from Shmuel bar Nachman. So he said, Rabbi Lezer Rabach. So Rabbi Yehuda Nasi himself said, Rabbi Lezer, your Rebbe loya darshke, and it wouldn't darshan like this. Ella, rather, would darshan differently. Now, this girsa here, the Shari Torah Eretz Yisrael, actually takes out the next 5 lines or 6 lines because he already put them previously elsewhere in the Gemara, and he brings down an alternate version from the Medrash. But I'll read you both his alternate version and also the version of the Gemara afterwards, despite the fact that according to Shari Torah Eretz Yisrael it shouldn't be here. And he says, so his version is, which you won't find inside, he says, Ella, he says it should rather be Kivika or Kibiya Hashem Tzur Olamim. With the name Yah, Hashem designed the world. And that means Bebeis Os, this is all still a quote from the Medrash, Bebeis Osios Baruch Hu Solamo. With 2 letters Hashem created his world, meaning that the world is created with the Yud and the Hey. The Yud is Olam Hazeh, the Hey is Olam Hazeh, this world, and the Yud is Olam Haba, the world to come. Or the Yud is one component of this world, and the Hey is another component of this world. In any event, B'Yah Shemo means that with the name Yah, Hashem created the heavens and the earth. Okay? Now, the way it says here is, going back to the text here, it says, L'melech Shabana Paltin. It's like a king who built a palace, Mimakom Bibim, in a place of sewers, Mimakom Ashkos, in a place of refuge, Mimakom Sarayos, in a place of bad odors. Who miyushu ba v'omer? Somebody who comes and says, "Hapaltin, this palace, chazu, see, b'makom bibinhu, it's in a place of sewers. B'makom ashbasu, it's in a place of refuse. B'makom sarayosu, it's in a place of bad odors. Eino pogay, is he not causing damage? Kach bishu omer, so too, in other words, he's saying derogatory things by revealing the truth about that which the palace is built upon. Kach bishu omer bitchila, so to somebody who says initially, haya olam mayim b'mayim. The water, the world was originally water upon water. So mentioning that, Hareza Pogem Pardes Shamelach is damaging the palace of the king, and Valia Buni Al Gabov, really the way, Hareza Pogem, the Pardes Shamelach, rather the world is like the orchard of a king, Valia Buni Al Gabov, in which there is built a reviewing stand. Allah Latzit, Avaloli guy, you should look but not touch. So basically, this really has nothing to do with the previous Gemara. That's why the Shai Torah took it out, put it out in the previous elsewhere in the Sugya, because here really it has nothing to do with what we're discussing at hand. But what the pasuk, what this mashal is, the analogy is, it says that where we said in the Mishnah that you're not supposed to inquire as to what the world was beforehand. Obviously, there were those who argued on that, but the Mishnah brought down an opinion. You're not supposed to inquire as to how the world was before it was created and what the process was. And they're saying that it reveals that the world was built on sewers and bad smells and all sorts of improper areas. So therefore, rather not think about such things. It's like building your mansion on a landfill, and we shouldn't discuss that. And rather, it's like a grand orchard to look and not to touch, meaning that one is not supposed to get involved in that which is beyond one's realm of what was given to one. Okay? So that's how...
And you could say the opposite of that. It's not either the cup is half empty or half full. You could say, look how beautiful the world is. How Hashem created such a beautiful world out of refuse or mind.
Right. One could say that. Right. But obviously the perspective which negates that pursuit takes this one.
Why couldn't you say that the state before was the previous state was equally beautiful? Why is there a judgment?
I don't know. In terms of beauty, you have to understand it's just a metaphor. In other words, nothing is really beautiful here. You're right. It could have been just as beautiful before it was created as after it was created. We're using beauty as a...
You say created, you mean perfected? You mean...
Formed, reshaped.
Reshaped to a certain point.
Right. Right.
So before that, it was still a big process.
Right. It might have been beautiful, but that's just a metaphor. We're just using it as an analogy, parable.
It will be in the middle of a process of greater.
That may be, but that also would be from this perspective. Also now, which the Mishnah said, don't bother asking what was before, nor what will be after. It's like there's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, which they made into a popular NCSY song many years ago. The work is not yours to finish, right? But you're not free to shirk it. In other words, you're always in the middle of a process, right? Right. I just said Pirkei Avos. They made a popular song. It's so bad in here, the acoustics?
It's a big echo.
Okay. I'll try and speak slower. Maybe that will help. But, I guess sooner or later we'll have to go back to the base measure. The problem is that officially they have at 9:30 in the base measure, so it would really break up our learning. So in any event, that's from Pirkei Avos. So really it means that you're supposed to fit into your niche in history and not be concerned with what came before or after. Now here, there's a rather broad definition of what's your niche. It starts with the creation of this world and ends with the completion of this world.
I got certain hours that while we must be concerned with our generation, we must represent that we are what I believe of the change.
Yeah.
And that we are to be concerned with what we are to be concerned with what the after, but we can only exert our effort in the present.
Right. I'm not disagreeing to that. So that might be a more legitimate interpretation of Pirkei Avos, but I'm trying to interpret it in light of this Gemara over here. Okay. So says the Gemara. Now, interesting machlokas, very famous machlokas here, which is brought down also in the Bavli. Beishamai omer shamayim nivru tchila. The heavens were created first, v'achar kol haaretz, and then afterwards the land. Beisil says haaretz nivru tchila. First the land was created, v'achar kol shamayim, and then the heavens. And this Rabbi Zevin says is a critical machlokas in understanding the perspectives of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai looks at everything as the heavens take precedence, whereas Beis Hillel looks at everything that the earth takes precedence. Therefore, Beis Shammai's perspective is to negate this world and try and achieve divinity, whereas Beis Hillel's perspective is, to take this world and attempt to work with it and you make it, so to speak, habitable. So therefore, Beis Shammai tends, although not always, of course, to be more stringent, and Beis Hillel tends, although not always, of course, to be more lenient. Okay? So Beis Hillel says, first earth was created by Shemayim and then the heavens. These bring a proof to their words. And these bring a proof to their words. What's the reason of Beis Shammai? What pasuk indicates that they are correct? Bereshis bara Elokim eser shamayim v'esaretz. Initially, Hashem created the heavens and the earth, right? So what came first? First, heavens, right? So, l'melech shasa kisei. It's like a king who made his throne. B'shasa, once he made his throne, which is the heavens, asa api poirin shelo. He made his footstool. What's the footstool? Footstool, the earth. Hashamayim kisi, as it says, the earth, the heavens are my seat. V'aretz hadom raglai, and the land is my footrest. Matan the Beis Hillel. What's Beis Hillel's pasuk? Same being a pasuk which says, "Biyom asos Hashem Elokim," on the day that God created, Eretz v'shamayim. First the land, and then the skies. L'melech shasa paltin. It's like a king who made a palace. Mishabona es hatachtonim. Once you lay the foundation below, also es elyonim. Then only afterwards do you make the higher floors on top. Okay, as we learn, afiyodi yosta aretz. First my hand founded the land. V'mini tibcha shamayim, and then my right hand made or complete or the heavens on top. Okay? Boy, you're so wandering Jew. Wandering Jew, gee. Azino Hashamayim. Yeah, but they actually bring a riot from that Moshe was close to death, because that he was closer to the heavens. I think I saw that once. I don't remember where. Okay. Rav Yudan Bar Pazi said, "V'dam misayeh leBeis Hillel." There's a proof text for Beis Hillel. What's the proof text for Beis Hillel? Lefani ma'aretz yasadato. Hitherto the land you founded. U'maseyadecha shamayim, and the handiwork of your hands was the heaven. So the first came the earth and then the heaven. Rabbi Chanina said, from the same place that Beis Shammai brings a proof for their position, Misham from there, Beis Hillel repudiates their position. My time to Beis Shammai, what's the logic of Beis Shammai? What's the pasuk of Beis Shammai? Bereshis bara Elokim eser shamayim v'esaretz. Right? It says, beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Misham Beis Hillel masakin lo. From there, Beis Hillel repudiates them. It sounds like, you look at the next line in the Chumash, Varetz Haisa, right? It says, when God created the heavens and the earth was. So it means Kfar Haisa. The earth was already there. Right? You remember famous Rashi in Chumash, I'm sure. First Rashi in Chumash says, Bereshis bara Elokim es shamayim v'aretz. It doesn't mean in the beginning God created heavens and earth, but rather in the beginning when God was creating the heavens and earth, the land was desolate and empty. So actually, the beginning of the first few words of the Torah are not meant to tell us chronologically that the earth was created before or after the heavens, rather telling us in the beginning of that process of creating them, whichever came first, at that point the earth was desolate. Okay? So that's how Beis Hillel learns the pasuk. Okay? Rabbi Yochanan Sheikhacham said, Im Lebriya. Rabbi Yochanan and Chachamim want to kind of reconcile the issue. He said, Im Lebriya, in terms of creation, Shamayim Kadmi, the heavens were created first. Im Leshichlu, in terms of completion, Haaretz Kadma, the land was completed first. In Lebriya, Shamayim, if in terms of creation, Shamayim Kadmu, the heavens came first. Bereshis bara Elokim, they bring the same pasuk as Beis Shammai, that in the beginning God created the heavens and then the earth. In Mashichu, and in terms of completion, Haaretz Kadma, the land came first, because then when it summarizes later on in the Chumash the completion of the process, it says, B'yom ha'asosa Hashem Elokim eretz v'shamayim, when God made heavens, earth and heavens. So this making refers to completion. So the work on the heavens started first, but the work on the land, the earth, was completed first. Okay? Now, here comes a very interesting machlokas, which, if I recall correctly, is not in the Bavli, and is strange, weird, and doesn't make any sense to me. However, that's why you're here, to tell me why you think it makes sense, right? It says here, Shamayim Barishon, the heaven was created the first day. Kivei Shammai, like Beis Shammai. Also, Shlosha Yomim, the creation of the heavens lasted 3 days. Vasu Tolados, and on the fourth day afterwards, it had, so to speak, progeny. How does it work? Rishon v'Sheni v'Shlishi. The first, second, and third day, God was making the heavens. When it had progeny, the heavens. Baravi, on the fourth day, on Wednesday, Yehimaros, God made the luminaries in the heavens. That is the progeny of the heavens. Okay? Yam, in terms of the sea. B'Sheni, the sea was created on the second day, right? Beis Shammai was created on the second day. That's when it was the waters and the earth were separated. Beis Shammai, according to Beis Shammai, also Sholosh Yomim. Again, 3 days passed. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Vasa Tolados, and then it had progeny. How so? Sheni Shlishi, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it sat. The Chamishi, on the fifth day, Hashem said, "You should let the waters sprout forth water creatures." Eretz, the land. B'shlishi Beis Shammai, it was made on the third day, according to Beis Shammai. What does it mean on the third day? Does it mean the second day? Am I making a mistake? When was the earth made? Well, wasn't it made on the second day? When the waters told to separate? The second day was that the third day? What was it saying there? It's still going to be there. It's Delaney in the back.
The second day says, he repeats himself,
Oh, I see. Okay. So on the second day, the seas were created, because God separated between the waters which became the atmosphere and the waters which became the actual seas. So Monday, the seas were created. On the third day, land was created, because the third day God separated land from waters. Okay, very good. So everything waited 3 days before producing progeny. The heavens were created the first day, their progeny was on the fourth, on Wednesday. The seas were created the second day, their progeny was on Thursday. And the land was created on the third day, its progeny was on Friday. And that's what he's about to say. Shlishi, Aretz b'shlishi k'beishamay asa shlosh yomim. It waited 3 days, l'asas tolodos, and it had progeny. Shlishi, Reviv, Chamishi, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Bashishi, on the sixth day, Batotzi Aretz, the land produced its progeny, the animals of the land. What? Well, also animals were on Friday. Oh, animals were also on Friday. Fish and fowl were on Thursday. Animals were on Friday. You can't check that out because the Siddur doesn't go that far. Yes. So, what? It might be in there. But you can trust me on that. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. Okay. What? I don't know when dinosaurs were created. If they were part of, according to Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, they weren't part of the cycle of the world, in the previous cycle, so therefore they don't have to be accounted for. But he said, I think that those who identify them with the Taninim means they're water-based. They identify with the water-based, like reptiles.
On the fifth day, you have shiur.
Right, water, yeah.
As well as Ophiopecoris.
Right, fowl.
Then the sixth day starts off Nefesh Chaya Levina.
Right.
Animals.
Right. That's what Beis Shammai says.
So then we have to end up with, that's why we have to say that man was created in the Shmashal, distinguishing.
Or in the afternoon. Yeah. Right. Okay? So now that's all Beis Shammai. So everything waited 3 days, then produces progeny. Now let's take according to Beis Hillel. Eretz Barisho. According to Beis Hillel, land was of course created first, so therefore the land was created the first day. Asu Shnei Yomim waited 2 days. Vasu Tolados, and then it had its progeny. Sheni v'shlishi on Sheni v'shlishi, the Rishon, the Sheni v'shlishi, first day, second day, third day. The third day, he already learns that the progeny of the earth, according to Beis Hillel, includes not just the animals it produced, but also Tachi Aretz, that the land was covered with greenery. When was the land covered with greenery? On the third day. Tuesday is when the land was covered with greenery. So he's going to learn, and this is the way he's going to learn the rest of them as well, as you shall see. Shamayim b'sheni k'Beis Hillel. According to Beis Hillel, the heavens were created on the second day, because the heavens was created second, not first. Also Shnei Yomim, so it was created on Monday. It waited 2 days. Vasu Tolodos, and then it had its progeny. Sheni, created the second day. Shlishi, the third day, and the fourth day. And the fourth day it says Yima rose. There were luminaries, the progeny of the heavens. Yam, the sea. B'shlishi Beis Hillel was created on the third day, like Beis Hillel. Also Shnei Yomim, so waited 2 days. Vasu Tolodos, and it had progeny. Shlishi Revi, the third day, the fourth day. B'chamisha, the fifth day. You should remind the water sprouted. Now, that's the machlokas, and it's a very weird one. According to Beis Shammai, everything waited 3 days before that progeny. According to Beis Hillel, everything waited 2 days before that progeny. What the point and thrust of this argument is, no idea. It's based on the machlokas that they had whether the heavens were first or the land was first. Alright, because according to Beis Shammai, the first thing created on the first day was the heavens. According to Beis Hillel, the first thing created on the first day was the land, and therefore they take it from there. But what exactly the connotation of waiting 2 days or 3 days is, that's for your fertile minds to figure out, because I have no idea. Why they were what? I asked you first. Yes.
What difference is there? However one wishes to resolve.
That's included in my question.
The same thing. I mean, one is a sort of a question. Why was there a conflict?
Right, I'm asking both.
The other one is
why was there a conflict? Why was there a conflict? Why was there a conflict? Right. Okay. But you want to answer one question, I'll go with the other one. You take your choice. All right.
How does the Simcha learn that the Aretz was created on the first day? What source was it?
It says Varetz Haisa Tov Avo, so it must have been created on the first day. Must have been there, right? So it must have been created. It doesn't speak about how it was created, but there must have been. When the Chazal say Breishis, the word Breishis is also a statement of creation. So obviously that implies that, encompassed the creation of the earth. Okay. Says a word further. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai said, it's also in the Bavli. To me, I'm astounded. How could the forefathers of the earth, meaning Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, argue on the creation of the world and say what came first? Shani Omer, I say it was simultaneous. Shemayim v'oretz, the heavens and earth, lo nivru el kelepes hazeh, they're only created like this pot, v'chisuyah, and its top. The pot and the pot and top are forged in the smithy together. My time, or what Pasuk teaches us this, Av yod yostaretz. At the same time, my hand, meaning my left hand, made the earth. The immunity and my right hand formed the heavens. So therefore, it was a simultaneous creation. Amar Lezer Rabbi Shimon. Lezer Shimon said, "Ikadas hazusha Amar Abba." If I hold like my father, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai said, "Pami shumaknu shamayim la'oretz," that I can understand the psukim that sometimes bring heaven before earth. Tani shumaknu eretz l'shamayim, sometimes earth before heaven. Elam Malami, so why does the Torah teach us? We have to teach us, like Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai said, Shishneim shkulim zeh kazeh. They're both equivalent, meaning, according to Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, they're both made simultaneously. Okay? End of the first Mishnah. Now, the second Mishnah, this Mishnah which we have learned, is the most ancient Mishnah in all of Mishnayos. In fact, there was a book written by, I think it was Rabbi David Tzvi Hoffman. It was from the Berlin Seminary, which he called the first Mishnah, which surrounds this Mishnah. You'll see this is the first Mishnah. How do we know that?
First in terms of
chronology.
In terms of like 2 and 3 wrote, or in terms of what was created?
In terms of the events it discusses. Okay, let's see what it says. Yossi ben Yoezer Omer, Yossi ben Yoezer said, Shelo lismoch, not to do smicha, not to lay one's hands on a sacrifice on Yontif. Yossi ben Yochanan Omer, lismoch, he says, you should do smicha. You should lay your hands on an animal on Yontif. Yeshua ben Prachi Omer, he said, Shelo lismoch, not to do smicha. Nitai Abeli Omer, lismoch, you should do smicha. Yudah ben Tabai Omer, Yudah ben Tabai says, Shelo lismoch, not to do smicha. Shimon ben Shetach Omer, lismoch, you do smicha. Shmai Omer lismoch, Shmai says you do smicha. Avtali Omer shlo lismoch, you don't do smicha. Hillel Menachem lo nechlaku. Hillel and Menachem did not argue this point. Yotza Menachem left. V'nichlan Shammai, and Shammai took over. And Shammai and Hillel, of course, did argue the point. Hillel Meli Smocha said you're allowed to smicha, lay your hands on the animal in Yotza. And Shammai says, Shaloli Smocha, you may not do so. Harishonim, always the first opinion in each one of these couplets of disagreement. The first opinion was Hayinasim was that of the Nasi, the president of the Sanhedrin. Vashnim, and the second opinion was Abos Beis Hadin, the person who was in charge of the Sanhedrin's affairs, like the chief justice, who's a notch below the Nasi in authority. Okay? Now, how do we know this is the first Mishnah? Look at the Gemara. Originally, there were no arguments in Am Yisrael except on smicha. There are no arguments. Nobody ever argued anything. Can you imagine the Jews without argument? So there were no arguments. It was only an halacha. They argued about other stuff. So there are no arguments until the time of except about smicha. V'amdu Shammai b'Hillel, that Shammai and Hillel wrote. Right, that's in Jerusalem, right. V'amdu Rabbinic Judaism, at least. V'amdu Shammai b'Hillel, then Shammai and Hillel got up. V'asos and Arba, they argued in 4 areas, and the Coordinator brings them down. Don't have to go into them right now. Misharabu Talmidei Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, once there became a proliferation of students of Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, the Lo Shimshus Rabbein Kol Tzarkan, and they not fully served their rebbes, means they not fully received the tradition from their rebbes. So then, then there became a large amount of disputes in the Jewish people. And divided into 2 groups. These would say tar, impure. These would say tar, pure. Vote in asila lachsum rekoima. And the Torah will not return to its pristine state of lack of argument Ad Shiyav ben David, until Mashiach comes. We wonder if that happens then too, right? So, right, that's the proof. Rabbi Chia b'Shem Rabbi Yehuda said, I don't know, so read Rabbi Yochanan. He said, in any event, Lo teishvus kala beinecha. A drabanan should not be light in your eyes. Sharei smicha ein el reshus, because smicha is optional, right? V'nechu kolav osom, and the forefathers were argued whether you do it on Yotav or not. That was the initial machlokas, whether you have to do it on Yotav, even though it's only a rabbinic prohibition at best. Rabbi Yisrael said, why is it a prohibition? Why did rabbis prohibit smicha on Yotav? So Smaris teaches us, she'adam tzarech lichbosh es kovdo. It teaches us that a person has to bear down with his weight on an animal. In other words, when you do smicha on the animal, you gotta go like this. Okay, it's not just laying on the hands, it's bearing down. Because the level to locate, if not, man and Armina, what would you say? Also, liga became of the yotiv. They're not allowed to touch an animal on the yotiv. You're allowed to touch an animal on the yotiv. You're just not allowed to lean on the animal that's using the animal. So smicha must be leaning on the korban. Right. Now, okay, going to the history a minute. Hillel Menachem lo nechlu. Let's go from a Mishnah. Hillel Menachem. Menachem was Shammai's forerunner in the job of chief justice. They didn't argue. Yotza Menachem. Then Menachem left, and Yichna Shammai, and Shammai came in. Leichad Yotza. Where did Menachem go out to? Yeshomrim. Some say, for those who have the Vilna Shas, top of Yud Aleph now. You don't have it. Do you have the place? You want to have the place? No, I have to find a few. Be quicker if I do it. Nice. Last line. Okay? So where do you go? Leichan Yotza. Yeshomim, some say, Mido Lemido Yotza. Went that from one measure to another, which is the euphemism to say that he went out and became a Hellenist or a pagan or whatever he became. Yeshomer, some say, Keneged Panav Yotza. The opposite his face he left, meaning he was compelled to leave. Who? He himself. Ushmonim Zug, and 80 pairs shel Talmidei Chachamim of scholars, Mubashim Tirkei Zahav, who were wearing some sort of golden garment, and Shishchil B'nei Shukashli Kila Kedera, whose face was black like the bottom pot because they learned so much Torah that literally they didn't sleep. But they were compelled by the Greek authorities to leave the study of Torah, the Romans, I don't know who. Shlomo, because the Greeks and the Romans said to them, Kisva Karen Ashur, write on the horn of an ox, Shelem Chiluk Belokei Yisrael, you have no portion of the God of Israel. So therefore they left under duress, and the office remained vacant until such time as Shammai took it over. Okay, Yehuda ben Tabai was a Nasi. Yehuda ben Tabai was a president or a prince. Shimon ben Shetach, and Shimon ben Shetach was was the chief justice. Each Tani Machlis. Those who say the opposite. Mandamar Yehuda ben Tabai Nasi. He who says Yehuda ben Tabai was the prince of the generation, the number one spot. Uvdad Alexandra Messiah. It's a proof from the episode with Alexandria. What happened? Yehuda ben Tabai Havu b'nei Yerushalayim boyin b'menise nasi Yerushalayim. Yehuda ben Tabai, the people of Yerushalayim, wanted to appoint him to be the leader in Yerushalayim. Orak Bazlei Alexandria, so he fled not to be appointed to Alexandria in Egypt. Boyin b'nei Yerushalayim, so the people of Yerushalayim would be chosim. They would write in their letters, Yerushalayim Agdola, from the great Jerusalem, Alexandria Aktana, to the small Alexandria. And Mosai Arusi Yoshev Etzlechem, how long will my fiancé, meaning Yehuda ben Tabai, they wanted to make the leader, how long will he sit by you? Vani Yoshev Es Aguma, I'm sitting desolate, Allah, because he is not here. So, okay, Yehuda ben Tabai was convinced by this eloquent letter. So, Piresh, he was about to leave, to go back. Meisi Ko Ilfot, he was going to go into a boat. Amar Devora Morsa Debais, as he's going to go into the boat, he said, Devora Marsa Debesa, Devora, our landlord is, the Kavaltan, who's opposite us, Mavas Chaser, what is she missing that we should do her a favor or give her a gift before we leave? So one of his students thought, he was asking, what was she missing in terms of her beauty? He's asking, why is she ugly? So when he responded, Rebbe, Eina Havashavra, what, her eyes are broken, meaning they're not on the same level, or one's not working properly. Amalei, so Yehuda ben Tabai said, Hatarti Gabach, I have two problems with you. Chara de Chashadtani. One, you suspected me that I'm looking at her beauty, or looking at her lack thereof. And the other one, the stakaltis, but that you looked at her. Thank you. So, Mamaris, what did I say? I said, Yois, Yehuda ben Tabai said, Yois b'ravi l'amris. I didn't say she looks good in her ways, her countenance radiates. That's not my business. It's not something which I would look at. El Bu'uta, what I meant is that she does mitzvahs from Maisin Tovim. Because I love it, so Yehuda ben Tabai got mad at this fellow. The fellow went away. Now, a similar mice is brought down to Bavli with Yerushalmi ben Prachi. Only by the Bavli, it makes clear that Bavli is on the assumption that this person who was pushed away later became whom? The student who was rejected because he had looked at the beauty of the woman. I assume that that's what his Rebbe was looking at. Do you remember who's try again, not Acher. What? He did call him Elisha Acher. Yeah. You sure?
Is this supposed to be
Doesn't come back.
I think we just refer to God refers to
It's a good point. That's a very good point. Truly a brilliant observation on your part.
That was just an observation. So what does that do? I don't know.
That's a good point.
I don't know what to make of it, but it was, I thought it struck me as
Anyway, that doesn't answer my question. No, they say he became the founder of the Christian religion. Became, Yeshua. Yeah, Jesus. That's what they say. Although chronologically, according to the non-Jewish time frame, it's much too early because it's well before the Common Era. So, but that's what they say. Who was? No, that's but we all know that. You mean John the Baptist? Went down to Peoria, East Peoria. Yes. Okay.
if it's yesterday, you went to limbo camp.
Yeah. Some. Okay. Can you imagine founding a religion and the religion is based in East Peoria? Gee. Okay.
What's the? I don't understand the flow of the Gemara. What does this all have to do with
Oh no, we're trying to prove now that Yehuda ben Tabe was a Nasi, because it says here in this tradition that he was invited back to be the Nasi, which is not like our Mishnah, because our Mishnah Yehuda ben which is like our Mishnah, excuse me, that Yehuda ben Tabe. The story of Ashkelon is a proof of this. This is a very long story. Train Hasidim have a Ashkelon. There were two. Settle back. Once upon a time, there were two pious people in Ashkelon. Achlin Kechada, they used to eat as one. V'shati Kechada, and drink as one. V'loiba Rice Kechada, used to learn Torah as one. Dama Chayminon. One of them died. V'lo Iskam Lechesin, and he didn't receive proper benefits, meaning proper burial rights. He wasn't respected. At the same time, or subsequently, Misbrei the Mon Moches, the son of Mon, the tax collector. Now, tax collectors were particularly heinous creatures that day. They still are. Okay. Now, when the tax collector's son died, Uvatlas become dinasa. All the district took off from work, Migmalei Chesed, to come and do him the last favor of accompanying him to his grave. Shari Ahu Chasidim Mitztar. So the remaining Chassid, remaining pious person, was upset. Omar, he says, Vai, woe, to leis l'soneim shel Yisrael klum. That the enemies of the Jews have nothing, meaning it's a euphemism, the Jews have nothing, meaning that my poor friend who died was so pious, he didn't have a proper burial. So his friend, the dead pious person, came to him and was revealed to him in a dream. He said, Lo tibzei b'nei morecha. Do not get upset or do not degrade the children of your master. Meaning, don't get upset at the Jews that they didn't do the right thing. It's not proper. You should know, this is the best. Dana varchada choiva. I, talking about myself in third person, I did one aveira, one sin, vazaba. And for that reason I went with it, meaning that I had a poorly attended funeral. The Dane, however, that guy, Moch, the tax collector guy, avar charativu. He just did one good thing in his life for him or the kid. Vagabond, that's why he got such an elaborate burial. What taka was the thing which that chassid did wrong, which you couldn't get a proper burial? Chas v'sholom lo avad chava miyom yomai. Never did anything bad in his life. Ela except for Pa'amachas, one time, hiktin tefillin shel rosh and tefillin shel yad. He put on the tefillin on his head before tefillin on his hand, and that's a no-no. On the other hand, mativu ava brei demon moches. What good thing did the son of the tax collector do? He never did a good thing in his entire rotten, stinking life. Ela Chadzman, one time, Avad Ariston, he made a feast. Lebul B'tayo to the aristocracy. V'lasu, they didn't come. So what did he do? V'lasu, they didn't come to eat it. Amar say Yechlinu maskenaya. Let the poor people eat it. The low yatmin, in order that I shouldn't have to throw it away. So he didn't. It's only a backhanded nice thing. Bistarmin, some say, B'shuka Avar, that the son of the tax collector was walking in the marketplace. And a certain coin from him fell from him. And one poor person saw it. The Nasav lane took it. And the son of the tax collector did not see necessary to rebuke him. Begin to Lord in order not to make his face redder. Besides, okay, the story continues. Some days later, Chamahu Chasida, this Chassid saw the Chasida Chavrei, to his friend, departed by a person. Metayo Gogani, and he saw him in a vision, walking through gardens, go by the sea, through orchards, go mabuin, through fountains, the moy of water. The Chama Lebrei, and he saw the son of the moy and Moches, the son of the tax collector, Lishono Shoses Hapianor, his tongue was hanging out over the edge of a river, the low boy Mimti Maya, in order to get to the water because he was dying of thirst when he was already dead. But he was undergoing a purgatory of thirst. Below Mam Tamate, he couldn't get his tongue into the water. At the same time, he was having visions. Why not expand on them? He put another quarter in the meter. The Chama Miriam, Bras Ale V'Tzoli. He saw Miriam, the daughter of the onion leaves. I guess that was a nice name in those days. In his vision. Now, the way he saw her, she was a bad one. So she was hanging. I have no way of translating this delicately. She was hanging by the nipples of her breasts. In other words, she was dangling there as a punishment for whatever sins she did. Rabbi Yosef said, no. Amar said, Tzira de Tara, the hinge of the door of Gehenna, of purgatory, of hell, Kaviyah Bo'ona, was in her ear. So she was lying on her side, this Miriam, and well, no, it wasn't his tongue taken out. He saw in his vision that his pious friend was getting all sorts of rewarded. The son of tax collector was having his tongue hanging out over the river, and he saw also Miriam. She was on her side, and the hinge of Gehenna was turning in her ear. Okay, so he assumed that was quite painful, right? So he asked her, Amar alone. So he said to her, "Lavadokain, why is this happening to you?" Amar lay. So Miriam said, David Saima, I would fast. I made myself pious. I would fast a lot. But I would publicize. See how big a tzaddik I am, right? I fast all the time, right? These tell me, so that's for the hypocrites. These tell me, some say David Saima should fast one day. But for that one day she fasted, she would indulge for 2 days. It's like bulimic, right? But she would fast for one day and claim piety, and the next 2 days she would binge out. Okay? Amar alone, so he said to her, Amos Hukain, how long is the hinge of Gehenna going to turn in your ear? So Amar lay, so she responded, Adiyesi Shimon ben Shetach. until Shimon Chatach, who was known as one of the great men of the generation, comes. I'll take it out of his ear, my ear, the common and I'll put it into his ear. Amar alone, so he said to her, Lama, why? Amar lay, so she said, you know why? Because he didn't keep his campaign promises. He said, before he became Nasi, he said, in Ana Misabi Nasi. Seems like he didn't promise to anybody else except to himself, but so it wasn't publicized. But said, in Ana Misabi Nasi, if I become the head, Ana Maktul Charshaya, I'm going to kill all the witches. But Sabi Nasir became the leader. Flokatul Charshaya, he didn't kill the witches. V'is Tamnin Nashin Charshin, there are 80 witches. Yavin Gomarta Ashkelon, riding in a cave in Ashkelon. Mechabon Amu were ruining the world with their witchcraft. Ela Ezel Emorle, rather go and tell him that he has to fulfill his promise. Amralon. So the pious person said to Miriam, who he saw in the vision, said, Anadachil, I'm afraid. The Granasiya, he's a prince, he's a leader. The lace whom I'm not, and he's not going to believe me. Amarle, so Miriam said, if he believes you, Atavus is good. Below, if not, do this sign in front of him. Put your hands in front of your eyes. And take out your eye, the chazra, and then put it back, the chazra, and it'll go back. So in other words, it's a sign that he spoke to me, a spirit, that he'll be able to take out your eyeball and put it back in again. Neat trick, right? Okay. Can you do it? It says the Gemara. Also,
It's a one-way trip.
so he went and told the story over to Shimon Chetach. Brought me up at Simon, and then he went through the trick in front of him, in front of Shimon Chetach, below Shafki, and didn't let him. Amalei said to Shimon Chetach, said, I know that Gover Chosid Yasir, that especially pious person mean Cain, and therefore, because of this, I know you can do it. Below, not only that, the fact that you know they made such a promise indicates that you tell the truth, because El Bepumi Lo Maris, I never said it with my mouth. Belibi Chashavis, I thought that I'm going to do this. In other words, it wasn't truly a campaign promise. He had that in mind that when he comes Nazi, he'll kill all the witches. What? Yes. That's why the hinge was going to go in his ear. In his heart. So, Amad Shimon Chetach, so Shimon Chetach got up Yom Zagrir on a rainy winter day. The Nasivi made Tumnin Guvrin Bechirin. He took 80 choice, handsome young men. V'yavi and he put in their hand Tumnin Levushin Nikim, 80 clean changes of clothes. V'yavin Go Kidrin Chadatin. He put the change of clothes in new jugs, so they wouldn't get wet. The Kafina Rishon, and they put it on their heads, so they wouldn't get wet. Amalone, he said to him, okay, now we're going to go to the door of the cave. In Sakris, if I whistle, Chazman, one time, Levav Shuluvushecho, put on the clothes, the dry clothes. Mitzavitsman Tanyon, if I whistle a second time, Ulu Kulchon Kachados will come over you once. The cave of Datzun Alin, once you come in, Kol Chad V'chad Minchon, each and every one of you, Yoguv Chada, should grab one witch, pick her off the ground, because they can only work their spells when they're on the ground. Can't work their spells when they're in the air. These kedod in the chasha, that's what it says here. The concept of this witchcraft, chasha to lean in ara. If you pick them off the ground, lo yachol other klum, they can't do anything. They're powerless. Okay, that's the key to witchcraft. All right, I think they're going to have Marav now, so we'll stop here for tonight. We're in the middle of the story. We're not finished yet. It goes on to the next Mishnah.